Hello everyone, I thought let's do a little video about my tea cards. So I keep getting a question sent through Etsy Messenger and a few through private messenger and saying, Karen, aren't these just Lenormand cards? And I'm there to say, no, they are not Lenormand cards. Lenormand cards were developed by the 18th century cartomancer, cartomancies are traditional playing cards, and they were based on, she had 36 cards, which is a petite deck of cartomancy where they remove certain cards. And when she had died, they discovered on her playing cards images drawn on them. So like on her playing card of 10 of diamonds, she had a book drawn on there. And on her Queen of diamonds, she had a path drawn on her playing cards. And Lenormand cards, she was, yes, famous, but they're actually symbolic divination cards based on tasseography, which is from the late 1700s. And there is history about this online, so it's a bit of digging, but it's there. And they were 1794. They were done by a German fellow. And he didn't have playing cards or anything. They were just images and had the people, a child and a man and a lady and a lion and other things. And they were based on tasseography. And tasseography is tea reading, coffee reading, red wine sediment, wax. In the old days, they even used to use molten lead where they'd pour it into a bowl of water or onto a stone and it would form a shape. And that's what you would read as symbolic divination. So the main differences are my tea cards don't have playing cards. And if you are a playing card reader and know anything about cartomancy, you will also know that the playing cards are actually nothing whatsoever to do with the actual symbol. They call these pips in Lenormand. But if you know how to read playing cards, which I do, these don't sync at all. For instance, bouquet, flowers, is often about joy and beauty and feminine and recognition or accolades. So like thank you and congratulations and so on. But yet a queen of spades, a queen is a more older or mature aged female, and spades means lots of hard work and obstacles. So you can see there is nothing that aligns with playing cards and Lenormand. So I don't have card pips because tea symbology has nothing whatsoever to do with cartomancy, playing cards. My cards have 50 cards in them, and all my decks have 2 ladies and 2 men. I'll come to that in a minute. And they have a number on them. This is my learner deck, and the learner deck here has keywords, which is a really great way if you're not confident. A lot of people actually use these. They buy 2 decks and you'll lay this one out, all in its numerical order, and then you'll lay another deck on top of it to learn your houses as such, just like Lenormand card readers. And when you're reading houses, what I mean by that is basically you've got a house, and then you put another card over it. You're actually reading 2 layers. You're reading the house and you're reading the influence of the house. So that's a whole complex way of reading yet again. So, which I'm not going into in this video, which I did say was going to be short, and I waffle too much, so bear with me. So these have 50 cards. They have 2 ladies, 2 men. They have a number on them. Tea reading is directional, and directions are vital. And I'm loving the exercises Wilma's been putting up as well, knowing cards, what's one in front of the other and after it, and then vice versa when you swap them around. So what I'm going to explain, so I'm just grabbing my knit needles, is when we read tea, we start, when you read a cup, you start at the handle. If you were reading for yourself, the handle points to you because it means what's close to my heart. And we read circular. And the reason why directions are vital, for instance, in this here, I've got a little mermaid here. Don't you just love my little dot drawing? And my mermaid is pointing that direction. And the handle always represents the querent, or the person who's wanting the reading. So if this was about myself, the mermaid is right, heading, looking at myself. So there it would be almost me looking into a mirror with a mermaid. It's like, what can I see? Or why can't I see beauty within, or youth, or high energy, and so on. So if this mermaid was facing away from the handle, she would then mean is, what is it that I can see the back end of, but I need to face? So see how that can take on a totally different context of, is the symbol facing or is it not? It would be much like if I had a heart here and a cat looking at the heart. I'll draw it for you. Bear with me. So let's have a heart here in our cup. The cat's looking at the heart. Now, cat generally can be quite peaceful, friendly, it's feminine energy. Cat looking at the heart there can be, do I trust? And a cat looking at it would tell me, yes, this is trustworthy in love or with my emotions. But if that little kitty cat was looking the other way, it would say, I can't trust with my emotions. So the directions are really important when we are looking at tea symbols, whether it's in a cup, whether it's in cards. And that's the very reason why a lot of my card decks, and some of them are probably more obvious than others, there's no arrow on this one because that is called a face-forwarding card. So when you have a face-forwarding card like this, we rely on the other cards around it. Is it pointing to it? Is it pointing away from it? So, but a lot of them have an arrow on them. So, and the arrow means, yes, it's looking that way, cat's looking that way. These particular images, it's pretty obvious of the directions where they're looking. The very first thing I always say too is, when you get your deck, you have two ladies and two men, and I always say choose one of each. And the only reason I have the doubles in there is, if you are reading for a same-sex relationship, you would then have the two ladies or the two men. So under normal, everyday, average Joe Blows, you would just leave one woman, one man in. But make sure they face each other. So these two go together, you can see by the arrows, so they're looking at each other, and these two go together, looking at each other. Don't have two facing the same direction, because it becomes really, really important when you are doing lots of readings or bigger readings where you lay out 21 cards or more, where these directions face, because that is something very important. So always make sure you have a couple that face each other. Some people like to leave them all in the deck. Me, personally, I don't. And if I'm actually reading just short readings, like constant short readings, sorry, I'll just put these out, yes, that one. I actually take the people cards out of the equation altogether. So if I am just using standard cards, I would, like I said, I've got the people out, and I don't use people cards when I do just standard short readings. So, because we already know, is the person asking about something or so on, I would rather not put the person in there. So that's just my preference. Up to you whether you want to follow suit. Now, the other things are, I'll just show you, like Alice is one of my favourite decks. And again, people cards, you choose two. Get out, I've got all of those. So Alice, I haven't got arrows on Alice. It was a deck done before I really got putting the arrows on, and that was after much demand, and I don't want to have to go through and redraw the whole deck because this was a hand-drawn deck that took me quite a bit to get done. But like I said, they are pretty obvious, the directions, if you are looking at a directional card. So again, your tree tends to be more face forwarding. You can have it if you want something on that side and so on. So directions, yes, you work them out pretty quickly. The heart, for instance, in Alice, it's probably a good depiction of a heart, because you look at the half heart on this side. What is it that you are half feeling about? And the full heart here is, again, what is better, more positive, more joy, and so on. So this is what you would do with a deck that doesn't have any images or any arrows or symbols that state which direction. So Wilma's been putting up fabulous exercises where you are seeing differences with the cards and what's in front and what's behind. And there's a perfect example. We've got a heart, which is a face-forwarding card. We've got a peacock pointing in, and we've got a child pointing in. So if you had a client there saying, oh, I've got a date with this fellow, but I'm really not sure because he's got some strange quirky things about him, will this date be fairly positive, and basically, is she going to see any future with this young fellow? So the peacock looking at the heart would tell me he's probably putting on his best foot forward, because it's like, no, I'm going to show you my best side. I'll be Mr. Right. I won't make any mistakes in the date, and I'll say all the right things, do all the right things, and I'll look really hot at the same time. So it's looking there. So it does tell me he'll probably put in a lot of effort for this date. The child here, though, is looking back at it, which tells me, does he come across, though, immature? And when you're looking at that, it'd say, the first date will go quite well. Yes, you would probably need to watch it grow, and you can't really make that judgment call on one single date. I would look at this and say, allowing time to grow, because you might think, it may not come across too well, or he might be a bit immature and so on. But I would give advice to my lady if she asked me this question. I would say, give it a chance to grow, because you don't know where this could take you. Now, when you look at it this way, it gives you a totally different spin on it. Because child looking out, peacock's looking out, there it's like, yes, he'll turn up. He's probably going to be, again, too immature, not putting in the effort because not looking at the heart. The peacock there is, again, yes, he was decent looking and he looked like he could be one, but him walking away there would tell me he's more likely the one that's not feeling it more than you not feeling it. So there would tell me it's going to be a fail that date. And that's just by the directions of how we lay them out. One of the important things I see, and there's a reader, and I just want to smack her half the time in the head, and don't make this mistake. Often when people will do a read, they want to layer. And they'll layer and they'll layer and they'll layer, and they'll just put on card after card after card after card, because they want to get the answer that they want to hear, not what should be given. And I always say, if you are layering for further clarification, don't do any more than, say, 2 clarifiers, 3 at the very, very max, but I would really try and keep it to 2. But 3 at your absolute max. So your client could look at this and say, well, is there anything I can do to try and stop him from walking away? So we can layer here. The angels there would tell me, show your positive side. That's a good sign of joy. Show your positivity. And again, it can be your light that needs to shine more than anything. And so we'd say add light, add delight, look and think more positive, take it calm and peaceful. Angels are beautiful, so it means show the purity of your heart. The second clarifier, mermaid. that is an alarm bell for me. Because Mermaid there would tell me he's probably not just dating you tonight, he's probably also got another date lined up for tomorrow night or the next or whatnot. Because a mermaid here to me in that sort of dating situation would tell me there's a third party interest. So see how I've got the information from only 2 clarifiers. But like I said, there's a reader out there and she'll go, clarifier, 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 just because she wants to see an answer that she wants to hear. Don't do it. It's max if you do. So no more than 2, max 3. But here the answer's clear and I would not go a third card. So I just want to touch base and say thanks all for being here. I would really, really love to see all these members that we do have who hide in the background. And I know you view and like, but hey, pop in and comment and say hi, because the group can't stay alive without its activity. And the girls work really, really hard. I've got Andrea, Jacob, Wilma Wilson and Lindsay Henderson in the UK. And these girls work their butt off to try and keep you guys interested. And I really would love to see some input. So please join in on exercises and comments and that. It's nice to see the likes, but I'd like to see some activity. So, and I know all our lives are hectic and busy, but just pop in now and again. It would be great to see you all. Thanks for listening and bye for now.